Outside of the realm of specialty things, we come into what is very standard for most rock climbing. Now, I like to think about Petzl, you know, as well-rounded as they are. They make phenomenal mountaineering kit and stuff like that, but Petzl really is a sport climbing company. We don't make gear, we don't make cams or nuts or anything like that, but what we do make is phenomenal sport climbing kit. Now, we have 3 types of quick draws in the range. We have the Ange, which is very lightweight, very specific, Dyneema runners, and you know, really very specialized. But then we also have the Spirit and the Degen. Now these guys, these are kind of the most common quick draws you'll see coming out from Petzl. And as always, they come in 13 and 17 centimeters. And the main difference between these two is going to be in the shape of the dog bone and then the carabiners that they come with. Obviously, the Degen is going to come with the Degen carabiners, and then the Spirit is going to come with the Spirit. The difference in the dog bone, the Degen dog bone is going to be a little narrower, a little less ergonomic in the hand, and then the Spirit's going to be like a little wider with a taper, very ergonomic, a little beefier, and if you're having one of those oh shit moments, a little easier to grab if you need to grab it to clip your draw. When we look at the differences in the carabiners, you're going to see that the Spirit's going to have a little bit more premium of a flat gate. That flat gate makes clipping a little bit easier as you pass the rope through. This has a little bit of a flatter spot on it, but mostly round. Both top clipping carabiners have a similar shape, and they have an indentation for the thumb for a more secure clipping. One thing that's really cool about any Petzl carabiner, they're all tested in the factory on the way through. So most brands do what's called batch testing. Batch test is going to be where they'll pull 1 out of every 100 and test it, or 1 out of every 500 and test it. Petzl literally tests every single carabiner that it makes to make sure it meets the pull test. You can also tell the quality in a Petzl carabiner by the way that it sounds. Feel free to pick up any other carabiners around, kind of snap them and listen. They put a very strong spring into these guys. We have, our carabiners are tested to 100,000 gait cycles, where most people test only to half of that at 50,000. So just a little bit extra. You know, when it comes to a lot of hard goods things and a lot of climbing gear, Petzl may only be like 3% better, but a lot of things that they do, it works out a little bit nicer, a little bit better, a little bit more premium. One thing that I forgot to mention that I wanted to also say is on Petzl carabiners, there's a hole drilled on the back of the gate which allows dirt and debris, if it were to land in the gate, to get blown out the back. So another patented part of Petzl carabiners that help them stand out there that's really cool. But the Degen and the Spirit, kind of the 2 mainstays for quick draws from us. As we move down the range and talk carabiners, you know, lockers are probably the most specific and the most nuanced in choosing something that's right for the climber and for yourself, and I'd like to hit on a few of those things. So, that being said, we have 3 major shapes that we really like to talk about and use in the Petzl range. You're going to see the pear shape, or the HMS, and then the AMD, which is more of a standard D shape, and then the SMD, which is a little bit of a hybrid between the HMS and the standard D shape. Now, personally, and this is all preference, right? This isn't like a written rule or anything like that, but personally, I like to reserve this style carabiner for this style blade device, a tube style blade device. So HMS going to a tube style. The reason why I like that is in a double rope rappel situation, both ropes can rest really well in the basket of the carabiner. It manages really well in a belay scenario. Say you're using this thing in guide mode, right? Here, let's just push a piece of rope through real quick. Say you're using this thing in guide mode, it just allows the rope to stay in the basket. It's big, it's easy to operate. I just really prefer this HMS style with a tube style device. However, if we were to change up that program and move to the Gree, we really recommend that one uses the SMD. Now, For this style device, there's a lot of specialty carabiners on the market. We make one in the Freno. People make like the Gatekeeper, things of those sort, things that have little pieces of metal that hinge and move and trap the carabiner and keep it oriented properly while belaying. The SMD really does that on its own. And what happens is with this, the hybrid shape between HMS and SMD, it allows the gree to want to stay oriented down the spine, which is how the carabiners are strongest. If by some chance you were to get it cross-loaded on the belay loop, as soon as any weight is applied, it wants to nestle back into the spine orientation. It just works really well. And one thing I don't like about those with other specialty carabiners that are intended for this use, while they do work quite well, they have one use. It's used for that carabiner, or that carabiner is used just for your gree and your belay device. And I personally, it's just personal preference, I personally don't like to have kit on my harness that only has one use. SMD can be used for personal anchoring, it can be used for a master point, it can be used for anything that a locker needs to be used for, but it also just seems to work exceptionally well with the gree and keeping it oriented down the spine. Now, that being said, the AMD also does the same thing really well. I just like the SMD because it's a little smaller, it's lighter weight, and more compact. Just making it, in my opinion, the preferred carabiner to use with the gree, and I think that's super important. That stuff being said, we have lots of different options for gate features. We have the ball lock, which is a 2-stage locking mechanism. Press the ball, twist, and open. First stage being push the ball, second stage being twist. We have the twist lock, which is a single stage twisting system. So twist the carabiner and open. We have the standard twist lock. And then for super safe and things, we have the tri-lock, which requires 3 stages. You have to twist, turn, and then open to get the carabiner open. So lots of different gate options from Petzl. That's one, it's just all about what you like, what you want to have. And yeah, if you get a chance, just try to play around with the carabiners on your shelf and make yourself familiar with those products.